boy, this is going to be absolutely massive. Now, we got to talk about ActBlue, which is the donation platform that Democrats receive their money through. And it may be in some really, really hot water. Now, with that being said, we already talked about USAID, right? You guys remember when when Doge went in and absolutely took a sledgehammer to USAID and basically shut it down, which we all knew that Democrats were more than likely laundering money through USAID. And we're going to talk about some of their cash on hand numbers, which kind of indicate that already. And ActBlue kind of got a little bit of scrutiny a while back around that time as well, because, you know, people were starting to speculate and get some evidence that they were laundering money through USAID. And then we start talking about ActBlue. Are they doing that to ActBlue too? And then you guys remember when James O'Keefe did this?
FEC data shows that some senior citizens across the U.S. have been donating thousands of times per year. Some of these individuals' names and addresses are attached to over $200,000 in contributions. We went and knocked on a few of their doors to corroborate the data that we received. We're wondering if these donors are victims of what appears to be a money laundering scheme. Cindy No of Annapolis, Maryland, who in the year 2022 allegedly contributed over 1,000 times to ActBlue, totaling $18,849.77. That means Cindy would have had to donate 3 times a day, every day for the whole year. My name's James O'Keefe, and we're doing a story on the number of people that have donated. You did donate to ActBlue, right?
Once in a while.
What about $18,850?
No, I don't think so.
You know people are using your address?
I don't think so.
You guys remember that story broke by James O'Keefe? He went to people's doors and asked them, hey, have you donated this many times to ActBlue? Have you donated this large amount of money to ActBlue? And they were all like, no, I have donated to ActBlue, but not nearly that many times. And there's nowhere. I don't even have that type of cash to donate that amount of money. So then ActBlue got under some scrutiny, but it died down a little bit. And now the fire has reignited. And we got to talk about it because this could spell doom for the Democrat Party. And we're already seeing some things, right, in terms of their cash on hand that indicates the Democrat Party is really, really struggling without USAID and with ActBlue under scrutiny. Let's jump into it a little bit, shall we?
Significant development coming in. The Democrat Party's top cash machine, ActBlue, rocked by scandal ahead of the midterms. A bombshell report raises questions about whether ActBlue's CEO purposely misled Congress on just how good its vetting really is to stop it from illegally taking in donations from overseas. Connor Hansen has got the story from Washington. Connor.
Liz, this could have major implications for Democrats heading into the midterms, with ActBlue responsible for billions in fundraising for candidates across the country. One of its own former lawyers reportedly suggested this could lead to a criminal investigation. A report in the New York Times cited a 2023 letter from its CEO, Regina Wallace-Jones, to GOP investigators, claiming ActBlue used multi-layered screening to root out foreign donations, which of course are illegal under federal law. The problem? ActBlue's former lawyers told her some of those steps weren't always followed, and that presented a substantial risk if she was found to have misled Congress. The platform has been under suspicion for years.
A bunch of them turn out to be like diehard Republicans, right? People that have never given money in their life. So you're going to track down a bunch of these people where it says, oh, I gave $16,000. And they're like, I didn't give $16,000. What are you talking about?
I think ActBlue thought they could get away with it because the money wasn't leaving people's accounts. It was just coming from foreign or illegal sources. It was being laundered through people's identities.
ActBlue sent us a statement saying Wallace-Jones never made false statements, adding non-U.S. citizens have not and never will be permitted to make political contributions on our platform. Every contribution made through ActBlue goes through a fraud review. Its former law firm, Covington and Burling, stands by what it said, writing, "We have complete confidence in the legal advice our lawyers provided to ActBlue." According to The Times, the law firm's memos said some donors paid through platforms like Apple Pay, PayPal, and Venmo and were not asked for verification like a passport number to prove they were U.S. citizens. Liz?
Connor Hansen, thank you so much. Now listen to this.
I can tell you that that is a priority of this administration and this Department of Justice, and it's something that a lot of people have been very worried about for a very long time, and you should rest assured that it includes the Department of Justice and it includes me.
That's Acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche saying it is a priority of the Justice Department to probe Democrats breaking the law, illegally taking in foreign campaign donations. The Justice Department, Congress, both have launched investigations into ActBlue. The New York Times reports that the law firm Covington Burling warned ActBlue, its top official, misled Congress likely, falsely claiming it was doing tighter vetting of foreign donations. Let's welcome to the show from House Oversight, Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett. Congressman, it's good to see you again. Happy Easter. What do you make of all this? There's been a lot of speculation foreign money is coming into ActBlue from places like China, Russia, Venezuela, and Iran. What do you know about this?
Of course it is, Liz. We've been talking about this since during the Biden administration. But the problem is the Trump administration will go after him, but the justice system takes so long and it's so delayed that I'm afraid by the time anything happens, they could dump so much money into these campaigns. They might be, the Democrats might be in the majority again. And then where are we going to be then? I would hope at some point.
That's the only spot where I really disagree with Tim. And I like Tim Burchett. Shout out to Tim Burchett. I think he should be the Speaker of the House personally. But we're already seeing Democrats' cash on hand absolutely plummet. I mean, these guys literally just had $2.5 billion at their disposal to spend on a presidential candidate, and now they're struggling to even get over $100 million. Last I checked, they were actually in debt. They had to take out a loan of I believe it was $15 million to support the races in Virginia and New Jersey, right? $15 million. They had to take out a loan. Like, as a party, you're taking out loans for this type of stuff? Like, you should have that cash on hand. You know? So I think that says a lot, one, about USAID and what was going on there, but then also the spotlight being on ActBlue. And yep, Tim Burchett may be correct in it taking time, but because the spotlight is there now, right, I don't think they're going to be doing anything, crazy anymore because they know the spotlight is on them. Yeah, it may take some time before the legal system catches up to them, but the spotlight is already there, So I don't think they're going to be doing anything too crazy.
Someone gets prosecuted in a hurry. We need justice and we need it now. And the delays are ridiculous. I have full faith and confidence in the acting attorney general. He's a straight shooter and he'll go after him. But I worry about the system and the delays.
Yeah, on the face of it, it's pretty absurd for ActBlue to say they vet every donation where they're getting money in from Venmo and Zelle all over the place. Have you seen any details that they are taking in foreign money and from nations, people in nations like Russia, China, Venezuela, and Iran? Have you seen that? Have you heard about it?
Yes, ma'am. Of course I have. Multiple, Eric Burleson said in your preliminary reporting there that people will show multiple accounts. I heard Elon say to me personally in a meeting, he said that they run these things through there and then they have multiple, they'll have 10 or 15 donations in their name. But of course, they never gave a dime of it. It just shows their name and they're legitimate. Every dollar I get, I run through an accountant to make sure it's legal, because you have to watch that stuff and somebody can set you up, and they do it quite a bit. They've had a history of doing that. The problem is prosecution. We have not gone after these Democrat folks, and these are offenders. So these are foreign nationals that are trying to overthrow our elections, something that we should hold very sacred, but unfortunately the Democrat Party does not.
So what would you want to see happen next?
I would want to see prosecution. I believe that their president perjured himself, the head of ActBlue perjured himself, and I believe that's due criminal charges. I think we ought to have criminal charges also when we prove that these are foreign nationals that are giving this money, or foreign companies or foreign countries, because that is exactly what the Democrats accused Trump of doing. And he was clean in all of that, yet they're the ones that doing it. I've always said, you know, you always accuse somebody of something that you're doing, and dadgummit, Liz, that's what the Democrats were doing. They were running foreign money through to beat Donald Trump, and they accused him of doing that very thing, and he was not doing it.
Congressman Tim Burchett, thank you.
Facts. I've always said the exact same thing too, which is crazy that he said that. I've continually said that Democrats accuse Republicans of what they're actually doing. I mean, it's just facts, right? It's just facts. Now, I want to go back to an article that was penned back in February. And it says, we have a glaring disadvantage. Democrats panic as GOP dominates in fundraising, New York Times reports. Democratic strategists are warning that fundraising might make the difference in the midterms. Democrats have about $137 million for their campaigns, while Republicans have more than twice that amount, about $320 when their debts are taken into account. Yeah. It says here, Donald Trump has 99 problems going in the midterms, but money ain't one. And yet it's a huge problem for the Democrat Party, which also, I mean, it goes to, it kind of confirms what our suspicions were with the Democrat Party and how they were laundering money through these things. Because now USAID is shut down, and now the spotlight is on ActBlue, and they're struggling to get any type of money. Whereas before all of this, they weren't struggling at all. Kind of weird how that works, isn't it? All of a sudden they're struggling, you know? Kind of crazy, especially you know, with all of these different protests and everything that they're touting. Oh my goodness, we had 90 protests across the country. No American was outside of an hour away from a protest, and blah blah blah. We had such massive numbers, and yet they don't have massive donation numbers. Weird, weird. And once again, like I said, I think this could be some serious trouble for the Democrat Party, especially when you consider the fact that, listen, they had to spend over $2.5 billion on Kamala Harris, and they still lost. Sure, should they win in the midterms? Yeah, they absolutely should, right? Just based on historical precedents, typically the party in power loses in the midterms. That's just the way that it goes. But with their funds struggling, with their polls absolutely in the dirt, okay? Their unfavorable rating is in the gutter. They're less favorable than Trump, even though they bash Trump 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Trump is still more favorable than them. Okay, same thing with the Republican Party. Their cash is dwindling. Their generic ballot poll numbers we're even. We're tied. Right, last that I checked, it's 50-50. Okay, it's 50-50. Nobody's got any type of advantage. So literally the ball is in our court. It's in our court. Okay. And it's going to come down to, you know, just a few things. Obviously Trump getting this Iran situation resolved, which I fully expect he'll have it resolved before the midterms, 100%. Obviously gas prices continuing to drop after that happens. Okay. Which I fully expect him to make sure that the gas prices are down. And the economy moving in the right direction. Because, of course, it's the economy, stupid, right? At the end of the day, people can say what it is they want. Oh, abortion, I want abortion, blah, 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 blah. Like they did, you know, in 2024, which I'm sure you guys remember those clips. At the end of the day, people care about the economy. It's that simple. Everything else comes secondary to that. It's the economy. You know, it's the economy. And I think Trump will 100% have it on track before the midterms. But there's still a lot of time before the midterms happen. But also, listen, make sure that you have a plan to participate in these upcoming midterms, as well as these primaries, right? As well as the primaries, because primaries are important as well. They are very important, as we see in Texas, right? As we see in Texas with Ken Paxton and John Cornyn, okay? Make sure you participate in the primaries as well. Y'all stay safe out there. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Peace and love. I'm out.